No gates or lights. What's that talking about?
That means you come to a intersection or a train section that doesn't have lights or gates out there in the country or somewhere. You got to look both ways before you cross the track to make sure nothing's coming. Make sure nothing's coming your way to get hit by a train. You actually have nothing a protection other than your own senses.
Yeah, the train's something you don't want to get hit by. You know, something to hit a coyote or hit a moose or a deer. But a train, let me tell you something. You don't want to hit it, and you don't want it to hit you. Drive safe. What a crazy year 2021 has been.
It is, and it still is. It's not quite.
We got a few more to go. Yeah, a couple days left to go. But in general, I don't think anything else more crazy is going to happen that's already happened. What's your craziest thing for this year? I mean, of all the news stories, what is it?
Oh, man. That's probably going to be probably something that I think back on. But, you know, all the shortages, basically all the shortages.
Anything? Is it just chip shortages or just all shortages?
Just all shortages. Tonic water. But, I mean, it just depends. We're getting used to, and I find it odd as Americans, we're getting used to finding empty shelves, you know, and not shocked at all or not put off by it. It's just something that we're coming to accept.
You know, we are, believe it or not, we've started to accept less service.
Oh, yeah.
You know, primarily because there's just not a lot of help out there. I was talking to my daughter yesterday, last night on the phone. Her, my grandson went to the hospital. And she says she went to the hospital. She says it was unlike anything she's ever seen. She goes, she went to 3 different hospitals. The last one she waited for like 8 hours just to get in. And when she got in, she said there was people lined up in the hallway. They were doing even her son was out there at the IV in the waiting area. People out there with COVID, people out there with broken shoulders, broken arms. And the answer was there wasn't any nurses. They had a brand new, and she asked him, what happened to the children's center? And because of lack of nurses, it's shut down right now. It's just, you know, and it's just, you know, so it shocked me. Just listen to the stories, you know, it made me think, oh, my goodness, are the hospitals getting to that point again to where they're so backed up? You know, now you go into the emergency room, you've got to, you know, she said you had to wait in line to get in, to get checked in. She goes, it was like TV. It was like that when you see the emergency rooms and those things, and it's nothing like that in real life. That's how it was. And Dave, I just want to show you this and just go with me for a second. When do you think the supply chain issue started? When do you think it happened?
I think it happened a couple of months before COVID hit. I think it started right before COVID. I think we started to see this huge surge right before COVID. And
that's pretty aggressive. I mean, you could be right. So go with that. Tell me about that.
Well, right before COVID, a couple of months right before COVID, we had this huge spike in logistics on freight being moved across the country. Then COVID hit, and it took a big hit, and it dropped dramatically, and then it slowly quickly came back up and has been up ever since. So I anticipate that it's going to be up a while, and I think it had a lot to do with the economies, the world economies, but I truly believe it had a lot to do with our product and our desire to have stuff now, and I think that's growing within our society as we get it.
So here, if you see this, I'm going to show you, there's 2 green marks here for some reason here. This is 2018 and 2019. This is what Dave's talking about. And then right here, right before COVID hit, we started to see the economy really kind of take off in March. And it was nothing like we are now. It was just at that 12,000 mark, nothing crazy. And that's where Dave's saying it started to happen right there. I can see what you're saying on that. But quickly, David, it vanished.
Well, yeah, nobody.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, but so I don't know if it really happened here or not, because all of a sudden now nothing got shipped out. The country shut down. We as a world shut down, and so while it was going to start at that point there, it would have fixed itself right here. That's all I was going to say there. I think that, and I hear what you're saying on that. The thing is, we'll never know if that's when it was going to start or not, because we did have rejections weren't crazy during that period. Rates weren't yet out of control during that same period. during this section here, they weren't out of control at all yet.
I agree.
We didn't lose drivers at this point. We did, there were people working. It seems like truck drivers and trucks were getting made. So I think, even when this was going on here, I almost felt like we almost could have kept up with it if we would have had drivers, if we would have had trucks, we'd have had equipment, trailers would have kept getting made, all of those other things would have happened. I think that we definitely wouldn't have been the same thing as it is today, right? That same crunch. But I hear what you're saying on that. That's where we went. And look at that drop, though, we look at this year. Talk about news stories, Dave. All of a sudden here, the world shut down.
Yep.
And look where that volume dropped down to. And it kept going down. It wasn't even the lowest point yet. We had to go down all the way into that July before the freight started taking off again. My thing that I really do believe in is I thought we as a country, we as economists, we as manufacturers, as shippers, as trucking companies, we in this industry, we didn't pay attention to the data. And the data said right over here in August, hey, this is your new norm. And so from August of 2020, just go with me for a second. From August of 2020, we kept expecting this. We kept, we kept hiring drivers and training drivers, expecting freight to be at the 10,000 mark. Shippers and receivers, they refused to pay higher rates because, well, the rates are down here. They're always down here. If I look at my historical data, everything forever always says down here. And what we failed to recognize was the new norm, which started about that August 14th, August 15th in year. All right, welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. Did you see the trucker in Colorado may get that sentence reduced?
Yeah, I saw that. They're talking about the judge reviewing the case and maybe changing the sentence to it. There's a lot of push from all groups. I don't even think it's political. I think it's just a cry.
Well, it just doesn't. I mean, again, that law there is, for whatever reason, they put him under that law right there. The odd thing about this is that, it's the prosecutor going for a reduced sentence. The prosecutor, and that's usually not what happens. It's usually that defendant that comes to that, and that's really the odd thing where the prosecutor's saying, look, I think we're going to, we want you to review this, and we're suggesting 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, okay. So I think that has a lot to do with the prosecutors, not only their viewpoint on the case, but they also don't want the reaction to where their case is invalid, or their argument was invalidly made about how that this guy needed to be punished. And because they're saying all along, they're saying this was no accident. That's the prosecutor's whole case. And if you go back and say that it was, and if you actually state that it was an accident, then it wasn't with intention, and it loses its strength in case and in court. But
so what are your thoughts on the 20 to 30 years?
I think
too strong, the right call, not strong enough.
I think 20. I think 20 with good time and behavior. I don't know. You can get out in probably 12, but I think that's probably fair.
I struggle with this, Dave, and I guess here we go. Right here, it's safe to say. And here's the part that we're so many of us are on this side. We don't know really. We're kind of on both sides of this thing. Is it strong? Is it strong enough? But here it is right now. How many of you have got a ticket? How many of you have got a ticket for brakes out of adjustment? How many of you have gotten a ticket for tire for tread? It's not within the 230 seconds or greater. How many of you have gotten a ticket on your tractor out of inspection, your trailer out of inspection, something simple like that had it been inspected, perhaps something would have gotten caught? Now, here's my question to you. You didn't kill anybody today when you did that. You got caught by DOT, and yes, the DOT officer's being tough on you, even though he or she probably just doing their job to protect the public. It could happen to you, and I want to hear from you right now. If you've ever gotten a ticket at all for equipment you're driving, and I don't care if it's company-owned equipment or if you're an independent contractor, are you a driver out there that have written on that has taken the vehicle and started driving? Because once you start driving, Dave, aren't you taking ownership? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so once you start driving, you're now saying everything's good to go.
Correct.
Company, owner, operator, it doesn't matter. You could be a fleet driver. It doesn't matter. You're driving.
Yeah.